So I'm Corey Hagem, TED's business curator, and I'm here with the host of TED Business.
That would be Modupe Akinola.
That's you.
That's me.
Okay, Modupe, I think we've got a fun thing to talk about today. We're going to talk about side hustles.
Okay.
Our speaker today, Nicaila Matthews Okome, is going to tell us what a side hustle is, but I'll give you a little bit of insight. It's not really a second job. It's more of a passion that you have. It's not something you necessarily have to do to stay afloat. It's something you want to do.
Got it. I'd have to say I've had side hustles since I was a kid. My favorite side hustle, which makes my older sister laugh so hard, is remember back in the day when people had friendship bracelets? You'd make those friendship bracelets out of that string or whatever.
100%. Like seventh grade?
To have my hustle and the type of money I made, it was high school-ish for me. This was a time in the African-American community, so in Harlem, where the kind of back to Africa, Afrocentrism, red, black, and green colors, were really in. And so my side hustle was making red, black, and green bracelets, friendship bracelets, like thick ones that were just with all these fancy little different knots, and you could do the V's and all these things. That was my side hustle. I feel like I charged $25 to $50 for a friendship bracelet. Oh, yes. I was an entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur. I had to quit my side hustle so I could graduate from high school. I'm just kidding.
It's so funny you bring that up because I hadn't thought about that. I did exactly the same thing, although it wasn't maybe the Black Power patterns because I was in Connecticut. Do you remember the trend of like ripped jeans but with patches?
Yes.
So I used to sew patches into jeans, and I'm not proud of this, but mostly for the cute guys at my school.
But, you understood your target market, right? You figured out the market that was right for you, and you went for it.
It did not get me anywhere that I wanted to go. But it's funny, I hadn't thought about that in a long time.
So that, to me, fits what you're describing as what our speaker is going to talk about. So maybe we should turn to the talk?
We should turn to the talk. And just to give you a little background on Nicaila, she's host of a podcast called Side Hustle Pro. And she shares stories of Black female entrepreneurs who've turned their side hustles or their passions into profitable businesses. And she's become an expert in this type of entrepreneurship.
Very cool. I find it so much easier to think about my side hustle as a kid than to think about a side hustle as an adult. So after the talk, we should chat more about what it means to identify and know what your side hustle can be in our older age.
Sounds good. Let's give it a listen.
I can't think of anyone who just has one interest in life and that's all they want to do for the rest of their life. Around 15% of American workers don't have traditional full-time jobs. They're half-time, part-time, contract workers, or temps. The term side hustle just seems to fit with this ethos where people are putting together a few different things to make a living. The word side hustle has its roots in popular African-American newspapers. In the 1920s, these papers used the word hustle to refer to some kind of scam. By the 1950s, they were using side hustle to refer to legitimate work too. A side hustle is a little different than a second job. A second job is about necessity. While a side hustle can certainly bring in extra income, it's a little more aspirational. Side hustle captures a certain kind of scrappy entrepreneurial spirit. I've interviewed more than 100 women of color on Side Hustle Pro who've started successful side hustles. Naila Ellis Brown started Ellis Island Tea out of her trunk. Arsha Jones started her famous Capital City Co-Mambo sauce with one product and a PayPal link. All these women are running side hustles. What exactly does this tell us? First, that people are seeing opportunity within their communities. The goal here isn't necessarily to be the next Coca-Cola or Google. Scale is great, but there's also beauty in a successful business that's built for a specific audience. Second, people are increasingly interested in being their own boss. Being your own boss takes discipline. Self-made millionaires tend to have one big trait in common: hold themselves accountable and push through in the face of challenges. A side hustle is a great way to try out being your own boss and see if you have those skills before fully stepping out on your own. Third, people are multi-passionate. I want to stress that not every side hustle is started because someone hates their job. Many are started simply because people are interested in lots of different things. Lisa Price, who started a hair and beauty company, Carol's daughter, was working in television production when she started side hustling. She says she actually loved her job. It was the fact that she came home every day feeling good that led her to start experimenting with making fragrances and hair oils in her kitchen. We're always being taught that we're supposed to know what we want to do when we grow up. When you're multi-passionate, you want to dip and dabble in those different things. It doesn't mean that you're not committed to your job. It just means that you have other outlets that bring you joy. And that brings me to the final thing the side hustle revolution shows us. People want to make a bet on themselves. Side hustles are appealing because it's easier to take that chance when you have some kind of income coming in. Even if a side hustle doesn't take off, it's still an investment in yourself. 41% of millennials who have a side hustle say they've shared this information with their employers. They're not worried about their managers reacting negatively. They recognize all the learning and growth that comes with running a side hustle. Everyone is looking to feel fulfilled. 38% of baby boomers feel some kind of regret about their career. No one wants that. The truth is that there are many different ways to find happiness through what we do. Side hustles are about embracing that hope that we can be the ones making the decisions in how we spend our work lives.
Okay, now let me get in the right position. Sorry, I had to move positions because I had to. Okay. Hi.
Modupe, you're a professor.
Yep.
And so you have a lot of students who are at the age where they're trying to figure out what to do with their lives. What's a career? What do they love to do? But how do they figure out what to pursue as a career and what might be better off as a side hustle?
Corey, let me introduce you to the triangle.
Hello, triangle.
Okay, so you see a triangle. Imagine a triangle. And I want you to see one point of that triangle. And the question at that point is, what do I enjoy doing? Then the other point in the triangle, I want you to think about or write, what am I good at? And then the third point is, what gives me the lifestyle I desire?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing to ask yourself is, in my current job or setup, which of these questions am I answering, and which of these questions do I feel fulfilled with my response?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you find you're answering two of those questions and not one, then your side hustle is about kind of like rounding it out. So sometimes it's more like a right triangle where you're good at something and it gives you the lifestyle you desire, but you don't enjoy doing it. And that's where I feel like the side hustle comes into play, because your side hustle then makes it more of an equilateral triangle, because on the side, you're doing what you enjoy. So that's kind of one of the ways I like to think about this idea of a side hustle. What question are you not satisfied with the answer to on that triangle?
And then that side hustle really solves two problems, right? It allows you to do this thing that you really enjoy, maybe make a little extra money doing it, and develop, extra skills, experience within that passion, and to see whether someday it could become your main hustle. And part of that might be linked to how successful you can be at it, but also part of it might just be like linked to the time in your life. There are different times in your life where the emphasis of that triangle needs to be on one point or another.
Right. It makes me think there are seasons for side hustles and there are conditions that require side hustles.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also okay if you don't have a side hustle.
Right, because we're not talking about second jobs that you need to survive. We're talking about a side hustle that might make you some extra money, but it's more about exploring a passion, learning some new thing. So, Modupe, how do we think about how to identify what might be a side hustle for us?
Well, one thing is, if you find yourself constantly doing something when you're procrastinating. So we all have our moments of procrastination where our mind goes to something else or our fingers go to something else or whatever. What is that? That might give you insight into something you enjoy, something that you could make some money doing, but it's not your second job. It's just filling out your triangle.
Beautiful.
And so the reality is, I really do think that we all have a lot of side hustle in us. And Nicaila's talk kind of gives us more insight into that. But one key thing to remember or to take away from it is that we have to give ourselves the space and the room to fully explore what that might be. And it doesn't have to be this big idea. I think when we think we explore our side hustle, it has to be this big, booming thing. No. It's what is something that you enjoy, that your mind just wanders to, that you could do a lot all the time and you turn to when you're procrastinating.
Right. Starting a side hustle could be a great way to do it without turning your whole life upside down.
Right. Without coming up with a pitch deck and immediately going for VC funding.
Right. No pitch decks.
Just sketching it out, having conversations with people, just seeing if there's teeth to something, and just playing.
Starting small.
Can we play a little bit more in our ideas? We don't even give ourselves room to just play.
Well, there's so much pressure to scale up and make it big.
Scalable?
And world domination. And that's just it's not right for every idea. It's not right for everyone. It doesn't need to be. You don't have to win the market. You don't have to take over.
Let's all give ourselves a space to have fun with things like that, and thoughts like that, and ideas like that. The credits. Thanks so much for listening, and special thanks to Craig Robinson for the Triangle Framework, and to a mentee for creating an acronym for the framework, GEL. That's G for good at, E for enjoy doing, and L for lifestyle you desire. Here's to finding a side hustle that gels. This show was produced by Kim Naderfane-Petersa and fact-checked by Eliza Solomon. And thanks to Michelle Quint, Ban Chang, Anna Phelan, and Colin Helms.
I'm Corey Hajim.
And I'm Modupe Akinola. Talk to you again next week.